You've probably heard this little phrase, when you get older, nothing in your bedroom really matters anymore. In Buddhism, we'd call that a form of delusion. Because the Buddha taught, our outer world reflects our inner world. And if your sanctuary, the place where your body rests and your spirit resets, is cluttered with sorrow, regret, or the past, don't be surprised if your mind feels the same. So no, we don't agree, but we do invite you to stay. In this video, we'll walk together through 7 surprising things you should remove from your bedroom, not out of judgment, but as an act of loving awareness. From the mattress that holds old pain to the robe that still remembers grief, these aren't home tips, they're small Buddhist teachings, wrapped in socks and lampshades. And when we reach part 4, those dusty old shoes, you'll understand how even what we don't wear anymore still walks beside us. So if that kind of wisdom touches something in you, like and subscribe. Help us reach 1,000 beautiful souls. And welcome, dear one, to another story from Buddhist wisdom for the elderly. Let's clear the room, together, gently, and with joy. Part 1. The mattress that remembers too much. There comes a point in life when your bed knows more about you than your doctor. It remembers your aches, your nights of tossing, the arguments, the grief, the back pain, the morning stiffness you blamed on age, weather, or karma. Now, most folks don't think about their mattress unless they're shopping for one. And even then, we usually lie down in the store, stare at the ceiling for 30 seconds, and pretend that's enough to judge 8 years of potential spinal alignment. But here's a spiritual truth no mattress salesman will tell you. If your mattress remembers too much, you can't truly rest. Let's talk about emotional residue for a minute. It's not just woo-woo talk, it's real. Every night, your mattress absorbs a bit of your body and a bit of your life. The tears that soaked the sheets after your partner passed, the stiffness after the surgery, the night you got the diagnosis, the year you couldn't sleep through the night, the restless phase when every dream was a rerun of worry. And all of that settles into the springs, the foam, the frame. Now, of course, it's just a mattress. But also, it's not just a mattress. It's where your soul lays its head. And if the surface is soaked in sorrow, the healing never quite sinks in. Harold was 82, tough guy, ex-firefighter, believer in you don't fix it unless it's on fire. His wife had passed 5 years earlier, but he still slept on the same side of the bed. The mattress had a permanent dip where she used to lie. It was like her ghost had a reservation. He told me, I still wake up expecting her hand to be there. But every morning, it wasn't. And every morning, something in him ached, not just physically. We talked about his bed. He said it feels wrong to replace it. I asked, but does it feel right to keep waking up in her absence? He went quiet. A month later, he bought a new mattress. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he started loving himself again. He said it felt like getting a hug from the present. Here's how you know your mattress might be holding you back. You wake up sore, even after enough sleep. You sleep on one edge, even if the whole bed is yours now. You avoid bedtime because the silence feels like loss. You can feel the springs and your sadness. You haven't changed the bed since before you changed your life. Sleep should restore you. But if your mattress still carries the weight of who you used to be, or what you've lost, it becomes a barrier instead of a blessing. How to let go of a mattress with memory. You don't have to banish it like it did something wrong. You can bless it, honor it, and then set it free. Here's a small ceremony. 1. Strip the bed completely. Bare bones. Just the mattress. 2. Sit on it one last time. Feel the memories, smile at some, tear up at others. 3. Say aloud, thank you for holding me through it all. I release you with love. 4. Let it go. Donate, recycle, or dispose responsibly. 5. When the new one arrives, make the bed with fresh sheets, soft lighting, and something beautiful nearby. A flower, a candle, a poem. Turn your bed from an archive into a sanctuary. Let's talk practical for a second. You want a mattress that supports your spine, your joints, and your spirit. Here's what to look for. Medium firm to firm, especially if your back's been protesting. Memory foam or latex. Contours gently, reduces pressure points. No old springs poking your memories. Avoid the vintage coil traps. Hypoallergenic, especially if you wake up stuffy or itchy. Low or no VOCs. Keep the air clean while you dream. And yes, it might be a little investment, but tell me, how much is a peaceful morning worth? Part 2. The bathrobe on the back of the door. You ever walk into someone's bedroom and feel like the air is occupied? Not haunted exactly, just a little crowded. Maybe it's the lighting. Maybe it's the dewily covered nightstand. Maybe it's the unmistakable sense that someone who is no longer alive still has a strong decorating opinion. That's what it felt like when I walked into Marion's bedroom. Now, Marion is the kind of woman who folds her napkins into swans for Sunday brunch and still refers to her blender as new, even though it's older than most YouTubers. And right there, clear as day, hanging on the back of her bedroom door like it still paid taxes, was Tom's bathrobe. Big, plaid, a little dusty, sleeves dangling like arms waiting for a hug. Tom, may he rest, had been gone for a decade. But the robe? Oh, the robe had not gotten the memo. I asked her gently, "Does it help you feel close to him?" And she said, "Yes. I just like knowing it's there." And I get it. I really do. But here's the thing. Sometimes the things we keep around to feel close keep us from going anywhere at all. See, your bedroom is supposed to be where you rest, not where you hold a 10-year vigil with a flannel garment that still smells like Old Spice and unresolved grief. There's a line between comfort and museum exhibit, and that robe had crossed it back in 2014. Now, don't get me wrong, love doesn't go away when people die. In fact, sometimes it gets louder. We find ourselves holding on to anything that reminds us. The slippers, the side of the bed, the voice message we haven't deleted, the robe. Because it feels like if we let go of that, we let go of them. But here's the spiritual joke. They're not in the robe. They're in your heart. They're in your laughter. They're in the way you still make tea for two, even though no one's sitting across from you. Ram Dass used to say, "We're all just walking each other home." He didn't say we have to hang someone's bathrobe on the doorknob for the entire walk. Here's the deeper issue. Sleep is sacred, especially after 70. And grief, beautiful as it is, makes a lousy mattress. When you fill your room with the echo of what was old robes, ghostly routines, silent conversations with empty chairs, you make it harder for the body to let go. And isn't that what sleep is? A practice in letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of time, letting go of the past for 8 hours a night. But if the room is full of memory anchors, guess what? Your soul doesn't drift. It hovers. No wonder you wake up feeling like you didn't really sleep. You didn't. You time traveled. Let me say something wild. Objects have karma. Not in a spooky way. In an energetic way. Every time you walk past that robe, your heart tightens just a little. Every time you touch it by accident, there's a pause, a memory, a brief ache, and day by day, you're feeding that moment instead of feeding your peace. Ram Dass would say, the robe is just form, the love is formless. Don't confuse the two. Love doesn't live in cotton. It lives in consciousness. You know what I've noticed? When older folks give tours of their homes, they always whisper when they point to his side of the bed. Like he might wake up if we talk too loud. They show you the robe, the glasses, the belt, all laid out like the museum of a very dignified ghost. And the thing is, Tom probably doesn't care. If he's anywhere, he's probably floating by, giggling to himself, saying, "Honey, I don't live in that robe anymore. I'm busy being part of the cosmos." A few months later, Marion called me. "You'll be proud," she said. I finally did it. Did what? I asked. I took down the robe, and I smiled, because that was no small thing. She told me she folded it slowly, dabbed a little of Tom's cologne on it, tied it with one of her old silk scarves, and placed it gently in a wooden chest at the foot of the bed. She even wrote him a note. "Thank you for keeping me warm. I'll take it from here." And then, get this, she bought herself a new robe. A powder blue terry cloth number that made her feel like a spa goddess. That night, for the first time in years, she slept through the night. No dreams, no tears, just rest. Now, I'm not saying you have to take your loved one's robe down tonight, but I am inviting you to look at it. Really look. Does it make you smile, or does it make you ache? If it's the second one, maybe it's time for a gentle shift. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to finally close the door on the past and open the window to the morning sun. Part 3. The just-in-case drawer. Every home has one. That drawer. The one in the nightstand. Or maybe it's in the dresser. It doesn't open smoothly, and you're always just a little afraid of what might fall out. It's the just-in-case drawer. Just in case the power goes out. Just in case your cousin calls and asks for that warranty number from 1998. Just in case the dog chews through your backup eyeglasses again. But mostly, it's just in case you ever need a deeply expired bottle of Vicks, a broken watch, a single AA battery that probably died in 2006, and 6 rubber bands that have fused into one anxious tangle. There's a certain comedy to it, really. We hang on to this drawer like it's some kind of sacred emergency kit for a very specific apocalypse that involves expired aspirin, a 15-year-old charger for a phone you no longer own, and an Allen wrench you don't remember acquiring. And here's the best part. We don't open it. Unless we lose something. You never just casually browse your just-in-case drawer. No one ever says, "I'm in the mood to sort through 14 twist ties and a mini flashlight that hasn't worked since the Bush administration." But we keep it religiously, quietly, like a tiny shrine to anxiety and memory. Let's unpack it. Not the drawer, just the psychology. You keep things just in case because you're afraid of being unprepared. You're afraid of letting go. You're afraid of not having control. And that's deeply human, especially as we age, when things start to feel less predictable. When the body forgets why it walked into a room, when the phone updates and you can't find the flashlight app anymore. So we keep the drawer, because it feels like we're still prepared, still capable. But here's the joke. Half of what's in that drawer wouldn't help you in an emergency. Unless the emergency involved expired chapstick and a half-melted cough drop. Harold was 81, retired plumber, former Navy, proud owner of a drawer so mysterious even he wasn't sure what was in it. He once told me, "There's a key in there. I've had it since 1975. I don't know what it opens, but I feel like if I throw it out, the universe might collapse." That drawer had 14 pens that didn't work, 4 rolls of tape, all near empty, and a label maker with no labels. When we finally emptied it out, together, with tea and laughter, he found an old letter from his daughter tucked under a box of Band-Aids. He read it. He cried. Then he put the letter in a real keepsake box and threw the rest away. He called me the next day and said, "I slept like a rock. It's like I didn't know how heavy that drawer was." Now, why are we talking about this in a video about your bedroom? Because everything in your bedroom affects your sleep, even the drawer you haven't opened in months. Your bedroom isn't just where you rest your body. It's where your mind returns to itself. It's your quiet cave, your sacred den. And if you fill it, even secretly, with clutter that whispers, "You're not ready, something bad might happen, you might need this," then how can you truly rest? Your nervous system doesn't shut down when the light does. It feels the drawer. In Buddhist psychology, we talk about the mind like a room. Cluttered minds don't meditate well. Cluttered bedrooms don't sleep well. Cluttered drawers, they may be small, but they speak loudly. Every object is a little open tab in your psyche. A broken phone charger? What if I replace it? What if I need it? That key with no purpose? Maybe I'll remember what it's for. The receipts from 2014? I'll file those someday. The drawer becomes a container for postponed decisions. And your mind, your beautiful, aging, resilient mind, gets no rest. Now look, I'm not here to tell you to throw everything away and become a minimalist monk who lives in a yurt with one spoon. But I am inviting you to turn that drawer into something else. Try this. 1. Take everything out. Put it on the bed. Yes, all of it. Don't cheat. 2. Hold each item and ask, would this save me or stress me out? If it's expired, confusing, or emotionally draining, let it go. 3. Choose a new purpose for the drawer. Make it your calm drawer, your sacred drawer, your soft landing drawer. Ideas: a little notebook and pen, lavender oil or hand cream, a photo that genuinely makes you smile, one rock or shell you picked up on a peaceful walk, a prayer card, mantra, or quote you love. You're not losing preparedness, you're redefining it. You don't need 16 expired coupons to feel safe. You don't need 4 half-used tubes of anti-itch cream to be a responsible adult. You are already equipped. You've made it through wars, heartbreaks, pandemics, long phone calls with customer service. You have what you need. And anything else? Well, maybe you don't need it just in case. Maybe you need less just because. Part 4. Shoes with dust on them. Let's start here. Look around your bedroom. Go on, I'll wait. Now over there, by the wall, or maybe under the chair, are there a pair of shoes you haven't worn in, say, a decade? Not your everyday slippers. Not the walking shoes by the door. I mean those shoes. The ones that are collecting dust, that still hold the shape of your foot, that carry the memory of a younger you, or a braver you, or maybe a busier you. Maybe they were your church shoes, or your ballroom dancing shoes, or those once fancy heels you wore to weddings and now can't quite balance in. They're still there, like quiet little witnesses to the life you used to lead. See, shoes are funny. They're not just practical, they're symbolic. They're what we wear to go somewhere, to do something. So when they're sitting in your bedroom, untouched, gathering dust, it's not just clutter. It's a conversation. Every time you glance at them, they whisper, remember when you used to go out more? Remember when your knees didn't creak? Remember when you felt like you were going somewhere? Now, you might not hear that whisper, but your nervous system does. And over time, it starts to believe a story. You're not that person anymore. Clara was 83. Used to be a firecracker. Loved jazz. Wore red lipstick and red heels to match. Those heels lived in her bedroom for 17 years after she stopped wearing them. She dusted them. Sometimes talked to them, but never wore them. I keep them because they remind me of who I was, she told me. But who are you now? I asked. She paused, smiled. Then she stood up, walked barefoot to the kitchen, and said, apparently, someone who still moves pretty well. That week, she gave the shoes to her granddaughter and bought herself a pair of bright red orthopedic sandals. Same spirit, better arch support. Here's the deeper truth. Dusty shoes hold dusty stories, and those stories accumulate in your spirit. You might tell yourself, I'm too old now, I'll never go dancing again. Those days are gone. But the soul doesn't care about orthopedic insoles. The soul just wants to move, whether it's a cha-cha, a slow stroll, or just stepping into a new mindset. And every time you keep shoes you no longer wear, you're anchoring yourself to a version of you that no longer walks that path. You might think, they're just shoes, who cares? But your bedroom isn't just where you sleep. It's where you dream. It's where you greet yourself at the end of every day. And what you surround yourself with shapes how you see yourself. If you're waking up to symbols of limitation, items that say, you used to be, then how can you feel excited about who you are becoming? What to do with the dusty shoes? You don't have to throw them out in some dramatic blaze of closure. You can bless them, laugh with them, let them go gently. Here's a practice, a soulful shoe ritual. 1. Hold the shoes, look at them with soft eyes. 2. Remember where they've been, let the memories come. 3. Say thank you. You carried me, you danced with me, you were part of my story. 4. Release them. Donate, gift, or box them with intention. 5. Replace them. Get a pair that supports your body today. Something you'd be proud to be seen in now. Part 5. Clocks that tick too loudly. You know the one. The clock on the nightstand, or on the dresser, or hanging just above the door like a little round sentinel. It doesn't just tell the time, it announces it. Somehow it gets louder when you're trying to sleep, like it knows. Like it waits until 2:47 a.m. when your bladder's full and your mind is empty, just to say, hey there. Just reminding you, time's passing, still passing. Oh look, another second, still going. It's relentless, cheerful even. A metronome for your mortality. We all think we need a clock nearby. What if we oversleep? What if we forget to take our meds? What if we don't wake up in time for something important? But here's the cosmic joke. What are you late for? Exactly. At 78. You're retired. The plants don't care. The dog's on your schedule now. Nobody's holding a stopwatch on your nap. And still, we keep the ticking. Because it reminds us of control. Because it makes us feel like time is still a thing we can manage. But sleep isn't something you manage. Sleep is something you surrender to. Now here's what most people don't realize. Ticking clocks affect your brain. Studies show that repetitive low-frequency sounds, like a ticking clock, activate the alert systems of the brain, even when you're asleep. It's a tiny signal of something's happening. And for older adults, especially those who already struggle with insomnia, light sleep, or anxiety about aging, it can become a subtle stressor. A background hum of pressure. You may not hear it, but your nervous system does. Tick. You haven't called your sister. Tick. The doctor said something about cholesterol. Tick. How long has it been since you felt really rested? Howard, 79, widower, still sharp, still handsome in that Cary Grant meets cornbread way. He had a wall clock that ticked so loudly you could hear it from the front porch. He also kept the TV on all night to drown it out, which meant he was sleeping with the Weather Channel narrating his dreams and a clock measuring his mortality in quarter-second increments. One day, during a conversation about why he felt constantly tired, I asked, "When's the last time you sat in silence?" He thought. He stared. Then he said, "I don't know." We unplugged the clock, turned off the TV, sat in stillness. The silence was awkward at first, then tender, then alive. He told me he heard the crickets for the first time in 10 years. He called me a week later and said, "I haven't felt this rested since I was 40. Let's say goodbye to your ticking taskmaster." Gently, lovingly. Try this. 1. Replace your ticking clock with a silent one. There are plenty of analog clocks that sweep instead of tick. 2. Use an old-school alarm clock that doesn't light up the whole room or chirp like an angry bird. 3. Hide the time. Turn your clock face away from you. Let your body wake when it's ready, not when a red LED screams 5:41 a.m. 4. Trust yourself. If something's important tomorrow, write it down. Then let the night be night. You are not a factory. You are a flower. You bloom when you're ready. Tonight, before you close your eyes, listen for silence. If all you hear is that relentless tick, 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 ask yourself, am I measuring time, or is time measuring me? Then imagine a world where time isn't a countdown, but a river. And you're just floating, free, unworried, weightless. That's sleep. That's healing. That's you without a clock in your ear. Part 6. The good light. You never use. You've probably got one. Most people do. Somewhere in your bedroom is a fancy lamp. Maybe it's sleek. Maybe it's got a dimmer switch you don't quite understand. Maybe it cost a little too much at Bed Bath & Beyond in 2009. Or maybe it's not even a lamp. Maybe it's a giant ring light your nephew said you had to get for Zoom. Or a glowing orb that's supposed to mimic sunrise. But mostly just startles you at 6:30 a.m. You know the one. The good light. The one you keep because it looks important. The one that's too complicated, too harsh, or just never quite felt like you. The one that sits in the corner, unused, quietly judging you for using the $9 nightstand lamp you got at a garage sale instead. You might be wondering, why is he talking about lamps? And I'll tell you, because lamps are a metaphor. They're a symbol of what we think we should like, what we think makes us look modern, prepared, or put together. And sometimes, they're just too bright, too artificial, too sterile, and they keep us from feeling at home in our own home. Ram Dass once said, "I used to think I needed to be enlightened. Then I realized I just needed to sit with my own shadow." Some lights don't help you see, they just help you avoid the dark. Let's come back to your bedroom. This is where you undress, where you exhale, where you have your best existential thoughts at 2:30 a.m. for no reason at all. And light matters, especially as we age. Light becomes more than just visibility. It becomes a mood, a feeling, a message. Too bright, it jolts you. Too cold, it alienates. Too dim, you stub your toe and say words you thought you stopped using in 1983. Margie was 74. Loved Pinterest. Had a bedroom that looked like a catalog, but only on the surface. When I visited, she had a lamp on each side of the bed, both smart-enabled, which meant neither worked without the app that her son set up and then promptly forgot the password for. So she used the flashlight on her phone to read. The good light? Never used. Too blue, too harsh, made her feel like she was being interrogated before bed. One day she unplugged them. Bought a simple paper lantern lamp from a thrift store. It glows, she told me. It doesn't glare. And just like that, her bedroom stopped feeling like a showroom and started feeling like a sanctuary. In Buddhism, there's an idea that real illumination is gentle. It doesn't force clarity, it invites it. And in Western culture, we often confuse brightness with truth. But you know what? Some things are only visible in soft light. The laugh lines, the faded love notes, the quiet sacredness of being still with yourself. Let's talk practically. If you have a lamp you don't use, one that glares, hums, confuses you, or requires a remote you lost 2 Christmases ago, it's time. Not because it's ugly, not because you don't deserve nice things, but because your bedroom should support who you are now, not the version of you that thought you needed smart bulbs and drama lighting. Here's the magic. You don't need anything fancy. Try this. A small, warm glow bedside lamp with a soft shade. A salt lamp if you like a little ambiance and don't mind people asking if you've joined a yoga cult. A candlestick-style lamp with just one bulb and a personality of its own. Even twinkle lights, if they make your heart smile and don't look like leftover Christmas trauma. The point isn't the wattage. The point is the feeling. Tonight, after you brush your teeth and before you crawl under those sheets, try this. 1. Turn off the overhead light. Just for tonight, see how it feels. 2. Use only the light that makes you feel softer. 3. Sit in that glow. No phone, no to-do list, just sit. 4. Ask yourself, what kind of light do I want to live in? To dream in? To wake up with? Then let the answer guide what stays in the room. Not what looks best, what feels best. Part 7. The bed frame. That's too high to return from. Let me ask you something that might feel a little too real. When did getting into bed start to feel like scaling a small mountain? It used to be that you could plop right down on the edge, swing your legs over, and call it a night. But somewhere along the way, maybe when you upgraded to that modern, orthopedic, chiropractor-approved sleep system, your bed got taller. A little taller, then a lot. Now it's like a platform, a summit. You grip the nightstand like a rock climber. You lunge with one knee. You mutter things like, "Okay, here we go." And you pray your hips cooperate. Getting into bed shouldn't be a workout. And yet for a lot of us, it's turned into one. You know what caused all this? Marketing. Somewhere along the line, luxury became synonymous with tall beds, piled high with plush mattresses, foam toppers, pillow tops, and thick bed frames with ornamental scrollwork and possibly a built-in reading light you never figured out how to use. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with nice things. But if you need a step stool to tuck yourself in, maybe it's time for a reevaluation. Because here's the deeper truth. The bed that looks impressive might be quietly hurting you. High beds create real risks. Falls when trying to get in or out, joint strain on hips and knees, instability at night, especially during those half-asleep bathroom runs, morning stiffness from having to drop down too far. And here's the kicker. We often don't say anything about it. Why? Pride. We say things like, I don't want to admit I need something lower. It's not that bad. I can manage. But here's what Ram Dass would say. You're not failing. You're just learning how to live in your current form. And that form deserves ease. Walter, 76, used to be a paratrooper. Strong legs, strong opinions, strong coffee. He had a beautiful bed, one of those 4-poster oak setups with a thick pillow top and a decorative bench at the foot he never used. But every night, he did this strange little hop to get in, like mounting a horse with no saddle. And one night, while reaching for a glass of water on the nightstand, he missed the edge and landed squarely on the floor. Luckily, just a bruise. But it shook him. He told me later, I realized I was treating my bed like it was something to conquer, not something to rest in. He got a new frame the next week. Lower, simpler. Best thing I ever did, he said. Now I fall asleep instead of falling into the bed. There's something poetic about this, isn't there? We spend much of life trying to climb in status, in career, in wisdom, in opinion. But real spirituality, it's in the descent, in getting closer to the ground, in returning to simplicity, in honoring what is, not what impresses. You don't need a grand bed to feel important. You just need a bed that says, welcome home. You don't have to try so hard anymore. Here are some signs your bed may be too high for your current self. You have to hop or lift your leg unnaturally to get in. You can't sit on the edge with your feet flat on the floor. You hesitate to get up in the middle of the night. You've tripped or stumbled getting out of bed. You feel anxious about late-night bathroom visits. These are not minor inconveniences. They're little daily signals that your body wants a softer landing. Let's be clear. There's nothing weak about adjusting for safety. In fact, it's one of the most empowering things you can do. Options. Remove the box spring and place the mattress directly on the frame. Switch to a platform bed that sits lower to the ground. Get an adjustable base. Some even rise to help you get out easier. Ditch the heavy headboard and go minimalist. Your spine will thank you. Add a night light or motion sensor so you're not fumbling in the dark. And while you're at it, maybe rethink that shag rug you've been tripping on for 5 years.